Here's what I often see after a leader got promoted. If that individual used to be a high performer and suddenly they start to slip up, and if that seems pretty uncharacteristic, then we'll start to see that the tone around that person shifts. There's more frustration, there's more scrambling, and suddenly people worry about there being a performance problem. But what actually typically happens in a situation like this is that it's not a performance problem, but a transition problem. These newly promoted leaders, especially if they are on the front lines, used to win by doing the work themselves. Now they're responsible for results through the team, and they can't and shouldn't do all the work by themselves. Similarly, if they are increasing the team from, let's say, 4 to 8 people, there's a lot that they can do without a clear operating and leadership system and still relying on memory with 4 people on the team. But if that increases to 8, all of that goes out the door. And if they're either used to doing the work themselves or they haven't learned how to operate with a system, then that can come at a cost. And for many leaders in that situation, it can feel like a loss of control. And that has a ripple effect that then turns into frustration, both for the manager and for the employees. Now, here is the part that most miss. They think that asking for help equals failure, especially in a time where they're trying to prove themselves. They want to do it all by themselves without having to ask for guidance or support. And so they don't flag risks early. They don't mention when there's an actual performance issue on the team, when someone is overwhelmed, when the ball gets dropped, when they're stressed and overwhelmed. So they hope that ultimately it will all kind of work out. They'll figure it out. They work late nights. They jump in as the superhero at the last moment to make sure everything sort of looks good to the outside. But there are 3 specific ways to address this so that the transition problem doesn't actually turn into a performance problem for that leader. The first one is to set an early flag rule, which basically means that everyone involved in the work knows that they need to raise issues early so that there would be enough time to prioritize, to bump meetings, or to change the scope of the work if necessary. That's the early flag rule. The second one, remove any single points of failure. So assign owners, have backup, do quick reviews before anything goes out to your boss and even the executive team. So clear ownership and backup plans, including reviews. And then the third one is to praise escalation early on. Not the heroic superhero, not the heroic act where someone last minute jumped in to save the day. That's all nice and good, but we do want to encourage the team and the leader that just got promoted to keep raising things and escalating them. And we do so by rewarding that behavior. Those are the 3 things to keep the leader got promoted and the entire team protected. Those rules apply both to the newly promoted manager in that case, but also to their leader. You have the early flag rule, the clear ownership and review or backup plans, and praising escalations, not heroics. Paying attention to these 3 things will reduce the risk that transition problems turn into performance problems.